This is PRIME7 Local News.
Tonight, new measures introduced as viral fragments of foot and mouth disease are found in Australia. Mudgee locals left on edge as some houses are deemed flood prone.
And later this news hour, the harrowing stories as a new COVID wave pushes our hospitals to the brink and a charity worker brutally beaten as his attackers film the act.
Now, PRIME7 Local News.
Good evening. Livestock producers are on high alert after foot and mouth disease was detected in Australia for the second time. The government is strengthening their biosecurity measures in airports, while farmers are calling for more to be done.
Knocking on our door. Viral fragments of foot and mouth disease have been discovered in Melbourne and Adelaide, leaving local farmers shaken.
It made my stomach go through the floor, actually.
My sheep are the only thing that I farm on this farm. The biggest thing I can do is worry.
Authorities are ramping up preventative measures in reaction to yesterday's detection.
We have discovered these viral fragments, and frankly I think that's a good thing that we were able to detect that through our biosecurity systems.
Although the fragments don't pose the same threat as the live virus, locals are still on edge.
I think he's a bit hopeful. If you look at the number of containers that get emptied, get checked, and the number of people that get checked.
Today, Peter Gorman is facing uncertain times, the farmer previously planning to enter his cattle into the Royal Melbourne Show later this year.
Because if it comes back, every animal on my property will be put down. Every animal on my neighbour's property will be put down.
While farmer Paul Nichols is on high alert as he exports hundreds of his sheep to Italy and China.
It's not just a matter of, it's a sheep, it needs to be replaced. It's the genetics that sheep carries, and that will just disappear.
Today, some concrete action has been announced. Foot sanitisers at Australian and Indonesian airports, extra biosecurity officers employed, and now the compulsory e-tagging of sheep and goats.
We're also saying you need to do more. You need to tech the dogs. You need to make sure there is a targeting advertising campaign.
There's a strong push for travellers returning home to throw their shoes away.
Potentially you might not even see they're dirty, but really need to be careful, and that people do not travel to farms for a period of time after they come back.
And experts say farmers need to prepare too.
For those who are involved in the livestock industries and have farms, have up-to-date and well-implemented biosecurity plans.
Christopher Tan, PRIME7 News.
As a third wave of Omicron sweeps the nation, there's a new push to see a return to working from home. I'm joined now by Christopher Tan. And Chris, how do local businesses feel about the idea?
Well, Maddie, earlier this week, Chief Medical Officer Paul Kelly urged anyone who can work from home to do so. But Prime Minister Anthony Albanese opposed the push, saying it would do more harm than good. In the Central West, Business New South Wales are urging employers to talk to their staff before making any decisions on working from home. They say that while that arrangement can certainly be beneficial for some, it won't work in every scenario. Businesses are instead urging staff and customers to follow COVID measures to keep everyone safe.
Thanks for the update, Chris. Christopher Tan there. An unexpected letter from the Mid-Western Council has left thousands of Mudgee residents on edge. As part of a new study, some locations have been identified as flood-prone, leaving homeowners worried about changes to property values and insurance.
Ross Mayberry is one of 2,500 Mudgee residents left shocked by a letter from the Mid-Western Regional Council. The document revealed his home, among others, has been identified as flood-prone.
We're up on a hill here. It's a real surprise and a shock.
We've only moved back in about 2 months ago, and all of a sudden, we've got a flood zone warning.
The council has updated their floodplain risk management with a new study which has taken into account the town's largest possible flood and overland flow.
It's fair to say it's created a stir in the community, because this is the sort of thing that in your latter stages of your life, you don't want to be receiving this sort of thing in the mail out of the blue.
The rezoning means potential changes to property values, insurance costs and more paperwork for those looking to redevelop or sell their land.
There's a far better way to do it than just send out a blanket letter that says you're now in a flood zone, consult your insurance company and talk to your solicitor if you want to sell it.
We're already taking into account in terms of if any new development is built, we're already considering, because we now know that information. So insurers would already know.
Attached to the letter was a survey which residents have until the end of the month to complete and send back to council. But homeowners are warned it isn't likely to change the findings.
There could be very small tweaks to that, but largely, yes, the area that has been mapped is what it is.
So we need to work through this together, not just to be suddenly slammed with a letter saying you're in a flood zone. Cop it sweet. We're not going to cop it sweet.
The final stage of the floodplain risk management project is expected to wrap up in around 12 to 18 months. For residents who need more information about the flood study, head to the Mid-Western Regional Council website. Hamish Southwell, PRIME7 News.
Well, it's time now for a quick check of the weather with Kirsty Fitzpatrick. And Kirsty, we did see a bit of cloud around and the odd drop of rain.
Yes, hi Maddie, good evening to you and good evening everyone. It has been unsettled for parts of the region, but for the west a mostly fine day as we wind down towards the end of our working week. Partly cloudy across most of the region. We did see a few showers towards Lithgow and for parts of the Blue Mountains. Some areas picking up almost 10 millimetres since 9 o'clock this morning. Not as cold overnight though, that due to a little more nighttime cloud cover. Maximums range from those single digits for parts of the far east up to around the high teens. Canamble 19 degrees and Dubbo reached 18 today, with fairly strong wind gusts though reaching more than 50 kilometres per hour this afternoon, so it did feel a little cooler at times. We are expecting gusty winds about our region tomorrow, otherwise a fairly sunny Friday on the way. I'll have the details very soon, Maddie.
Thanks, Kirsty. See you in a few minutes. 4 new officers are set to hit the beat in the Chifley Police District. The announcement was made as part of the biggest increase to police numbers across the state in more than 30 years. Inspector Bob Noble says the new members of the force will allow police to better respond to the needs of the community.
Our number one priority is street policing and public safety. I mean, and that always tends to be a go-to, but we'd like to look at enhancing our domestic violence programs.
More positions will also be created in specialist police units like the Rural Crime Prevention Team. Police are ramping up the messages for businesses and locals on different ways to report crime. After discussions with the business community, Dubbo Police found that some residents were unaware of ways that they can report matters without calling the local station. Whether it's through the police assistance line, Crime Stoppers, community portal or 000, local police say they will receive the alerts.
If we can still come and see you and be out and about in the areas where we need to be fighting crime without you having to come and see the police face to face.
For more information about what line to contact, head to the New South Wales Police website. Wattle Flat Public School has received a revolutionary internet upgrade, changing the way they use digital technology. It marks the completion of a multi-million-dollar project, making sure every public school in regional New South Wales is connected to fibre internet.
In 2022, the internet is a vital part of our lives. Today's technology allowing students to get the most out of their education.
Make posters and do informative writing.
But a complete digital makeover at Wattle Flat Public School has given their internet speeds a lightning-fast upgrade.
It's been a long time coming, but it's the best thing that's happened here for a long, long time.
The state government program has seen every regional and rural public school in the state switched from satellite to fibre internet.
Better connectivity and better technology so that our kids don't miss out on all the wonderful teaching and learning opportunities that brings.
The upgrade was part of a $328 million commitment, making sure the regions aren't left behind.
Whether you live in Bondi, whether you live in Moree, you've got the same level of access as other kids in other parts of the state.
It was a mammoth undertaking in partnership with Telstra, and Wattle Flat saw significant new infrastructure as a result, starting with new fibre optic cables.
That heads back to a location in Sofala, which then connects via microwave to a location on Monkey Hill, which then heads back to Mount Panorama to connect back into, the Telstra network there.
The upgrade will also enable other services and customers in the area to join the network, and for the school, it's a far cry from the old system.
We were battling with our administration. Our children didn't have access.
Getting a big thumbs up from our tech-savvy kids.
A lot faster, and it's just a lot better for our school.
Ruben Spargo, PRIME7 News.
Still to come in PRIME7 local news, bus shelters get a facelift in Bathurst and the Orange Conservatorium gets more funding to expand the auditorium.
And a little later this news hour, a hospital system in distress. We have the harrowing accounts from nurses on the front line, the savage attack on a charity worker filmed by the thugs responsible, and a Mayday alert on a Qantas flight, what sparked the emergency over the WA outback.
You can catch up with PRIME7 local news anytime, anywhere on 7plus, and stay in touch 24/7 on 7news.com.au.
Plans for major upgrades to the Orange Regional Conservatorium are in the final stretch, with another multi-million-dollar funding boost going towards the project. It's set to include better acoustics, increased seating and a larger rehearsal space.
Classical music requires dedication to the craft. That's something the Orange Conservatorium knows all too well, and lately they've been concentrating on hitting all the right notes.
We are definitely at capacity. Almost all instruments are on waiting lists. I'm about to tell admin that cellos are on waiting lists right now.
It comes as more of us look to pick up an instrument and learn a new skill.
I think my youngest student right now is 5, and I can't reveal how old my oldest student is.
Stephanie Lee is one of 40 teachers at the Orange's Regional Conservatorium. Having spent time in both the UK and the US, Steph says the facility in Orange is just as good.
I taught at the San Francisco Community Music Centre there, and I would say it's actually a really comparable feel, except the San Francisco Community Centre is tiny.
And now the stage is set for an upgrade. A $5 million boost has put towards the conservatorium, taking the total funding for a new facility up to $25 million. It means additional seating for the auditorium, increasing spots from 185 to 250.
We will be filling those seats and there'll be people hanging out the door, I can assure you.
Rehearsal space will also triple, catering for over 2,000 students, which is music to many ears.
We certainly had to have lots of classes online and staff who were affected and students who were affected. So a boost like this just says the arts is back on track.
While attracting international artists to the Central West.
I'm especially excited that a well-known cellist, Giovanna Salima, is coming in October, and he's coming to Orange to do a performance for us. And I didn't think that would ever be possible to see him live.
Work is set to begin early next year. Christopher Tan, PRIME7 News.
Bathurst locals will soon have access to new and improved bus stops across town. The upgrades are on the way as part of a $47,000 grant from the state government. The money will fund the installation of safety aids and in some cases will see completely new shelters built.
It's going to see some tactile line marking, it's going to see lighting, it's going to see railing, it's going to see improvements to the curb and guttering to ensure that everybody is able to access these bus shelters.
A total of 20 bus stops around the city will receive a much-needed facelift as part of the scheme. Park Shire Council has approved an application allowing GrainCorp to build 120,000 tonnes of new storage just in time for harvest. The facility is one of GrainCorp's largest Central West sites, carrying grain from nearby locations and taking it to port, also providing additional storage option for local growers. As part of the upcoming harvest, GrainCorp is looking to recruit over 3,000 casual workers, including up to 200 new staff members in parks. Still to come in PRIME7 local news, Parks local Henry Cross dominates the country's squash scene and a former Hockaroo hosts a goalkeeping clinic in Orange.
Welcome back. Former Australian hockey goalkeeper Tony Cronk has dropped by Orange, delivering coaching clinics for up-and-coming players.
Known as one of the Hockeyroos' best goalkeepers, two-time Olympian Tony Cronk is sharing her skills and knowledge with hockey hopefuls in the Central West.
I've always wanted to give back, so when I was playing I wanted to give back and I got an opportunity and now I'm really grateful that I get to do it.
Orange Hockey Incorporate jumped at the chance to bring Cronk to town.
Tony contacted us and rung around. She's travelling about and just said, look, you want to come and do some goalkeeping clinics? And I said, yes, for sure. I mean, it's a privilege to have her here.
She won 2 Commonwealth Games gold medals and finished her career as one of the best goalkeepers of her generation. Now Cronk travels the country educating the next generation. And she's been making the rounds in this beast.
We renovated it for probably about 6 to 12 months, or ourselves, and then we took off about 18 months ago. We always thought I'd coach on our travels to kind of keep us on the road, really, and also just give some love to hockey goalkeepers around the country.
Goalkeeping is a complex and challenging position, but Cronk is helping aspiring keepers to build strong foundations.
I start with footwork because I think it's an easy win. Once we get some good footwork and some good clearances, they start to get some confidence, and then when they start to get some confidence, they can do the more difficult skills.
And there's no better way to learn than from someone with 127 caps for Australia.
It just keeps them excited as well, learning new things, knowing they're getting better, and to learn from someone of Tony's calibre, it's a big thing for the kids.
And for anyone that's keen on giving goalkeeping a crack,
I'll do it for sure. You can be like a transformer.
Macreath Snare, PRIME7 News.
Staying with hockey, 11 Central West players have been included in this year's Under-15 Boys New South Wales squad after their great performance at the recent state championships. Some of them are currently in the Under-13 squad but have been flagged as up-and-coming talent for next year. The boys will be part of the 30-player side ahead of next season. Park Squash junior Henry Cross just keeps on winning, and now he's been selected for New South Wales.
Henry Cross is one of the country's most promising athletes, and he's dominating the Australian squash scene. Fresh off winning the New South Wales State Championship, Cross had some time to reflect on his skills.
Probably my length, so like drives and stuff, and my court movement. I reckon that's probably like the best I've moved around the court.
The success Cross has seen so far this year isn't just benefiting him and his local club. The youngster's mentor believes it's helping the sport as a whole.
I don't think it's just great for Henry to be so high for Parks. I think it's great for regional squash in New South Wales.
Cross recently fell to number 2 in the Australian squash rankings for his age group. It's a brutal system where one loss can make all the difference.
Depends like how far I go through the tournament. If I go to a grand final and win, I stay. If I lose, you never know.
He wasn't too worried about the rankings though, since the win in Coffs Harbour has thrust the Parks Junior right back into the top spot.
You don't have to be number 1 all the time, but like you try your best to stay there.
His coach puts his success down to one thing.
The fact that he's put in so much effort and we've worked really hard.
Playing so much sport means being away from the classroom quite often, but he makes sure to balance things out as best he can.
Just try and finish my schoolwork before I travel.
Cross will be joined by 2 other Central West players when he dons the sky blue jersey. The kids will head to Perth in September for the National Championships. Macreath Snare, PRIME7 News.
Orange's Jack Besgrove has been selected in the Under-23s Australian team off the back of his dominant performance at this year's Open Men's National Championships. After years of hard work and plenty of travel, the 18-year-old will represent the country for a second time at this year's World Cup.
Just a lot of training, in Sydney, making the drive, coming home that night, a lot of weekends playing softball, a lot of spare time just training and stuff, but it's all been worth it.
Besgrove and his Australian team will head to Argentina in October to contest the World Cup. It was another night of wins for Steve Turnbull at the Bathurst Harness Racing Club. In the Barker's Butchery Maiden Pace last night, Turnbull trained Posh Fella led the pack as he turned into the straight, holding off a late charge from Baldinino to get the win.
It's in front by about 4 or 5 metres. Baldino's chasing it down on the outside. In front, Posh Fella. Baldino's going to run out of time, and in front, Posh Fella on the line wins.
It was one of 3 victories for Turnbull yesterday and Posh Fella's second of the year. The pair took home a prize worth just over $5,000. Still to come in PRIME7 local news, Kirsty Fitzpatrick is back with all your local weather details next.
Welcome back. A trough over southeast Queensland's coast is deepening to form an east coast low that is bringing rain, gusty winds and hazardous surf to the New South Wales coast. Meanwhile, a trough over the northern inland is being fed by this system, creating some showers. For the rest of the state, high pressure system will maintain mostly clear skies and mild temperatures until a low pressure system arrives into early next week, returning some showers to the south. And we are starting to see some showers from that system next week with around 5 to 10 millimetres millimetres possible across our region. It will be heavier still along the coast with drier skies towards the west. To our Friday forecast, we'll end our working week with mostly sunny conditions. Temperatures even reaching the mid to high teens. Dubbo and Condobolin tops of 19 degrees, albeit with a strong east to southeasterly breeze across the west. For the east, we could see a few drops of rain, single digits around the likes of Lithgow with just 9 degrees and up to 15 millimetres of rain tracking towards Blackheath in the Blue Mountains. It will be partly cloudy as we wake up on Saturday, winds easing slightly, Cobar 19 degrees, Dubbo also 19, and the same for Gilgandra. Moderate winds becoming gusty at times, but overnight temperatures also reaching around the 5-degree mark. Not too cold first thing, and we're not likely to see early frost. Orange expecting a partly cloudy 13 degrees following the chance of early fog. And that fog will track through into Sunday, but with some cooler temperatures around, we may start to see some patchy frost. Blue skies into the afternoon, Forbes reaching 18 degrees, jumping to 20 around Coonamble, which is around 5 degrees above average for this time of year, 16 in Bathurst and 17 in Young. If we look ahead though, from Tuesday, that approaching low pressure system will drop a couple of millimetres of rain, around 2 to 5 millimetres across the central west. Lucky for us though, a dry Friday to enjoy, and the weekend looking pretty good as well. Partly cloudy and the mid-teens. Nice weather for winter. You almost forget it's winter with temperatures like that.
I know, isn't it looking great?
Looking good.
Oh, thanks for that forecast, Kirsty. See you later. And that's your local news for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can join the debate on our Facebook page, and you can catch up on our website or, of course, at 7plus. Your national news is up next with businesses calling for calm as we tackle our third wave of COVID.